Salam sejahtera, anda bersama saya Naila Huda di Niaga AWANI jam ini. Kita mulakan dengan laporan pertama. Pasaran saham Amerika Syarikat ditutup lebih tinggi pada Isnin. Ia susulan laporan kejayaan vaksin COVID-19 yang diramal akan memulihkan sektor tenaga dan industri. Saham berasaskan tenaga dipacu peningkatan harga minyak. Indeks Dow Jones naik 291.48 mata kepada 29,554.96. Sementara S&P 500 menokok 15.67 mata kepada 3,573.21. Manakala indeks Nasdaq meningkat 12.95 mata kepada 11,867.92. Saham berasas teknologi seperti Apple dan Netflix bagaimanapun catat penyusutan. Semalam kita mendapat satu lagi laporan tentang keberkesanan vaksin dan kali ini laporan oleh AstraZeneca Oxford yang melaporkan ia mampu untuk menghalang 70% orang daripada dijangkiti. Ini mengikuti laporan keberkesanan Pfizer BioNTech dan juga Moderna. Jadi dengan lebih banyak laporan tentang vaksin, pengedaran dan jangkaan program pemvaksinan pada akhir tahun ini di sesetengah negara, bagaimanakah ini akan pengaruhi pertumbuhan untuk 2021? Kita bersama dengan Shan Said, Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Juai IQI untuk membincangkan ini dari sudut ekonomi. Shan, thank you so much for joining me, and we've heard many announcements about successful COVID-19 vaccines in the past week. How do you think this will affect economic growth, especially confidence as we inch closer to the end of 2020?
Naila, it will require some time to get confidence back because the main issue is how to get the population vaccinated. And obviously that will take some time. If we draw analogies or parallels from China, it took China 3 to 4 months to get a major portion of the population vaccinated. And that's how there was a confidence in the market, and the market reacted very positively. That's why most of the investors, they have a lot of confidence and they're moving to China. So I think it will require some time. It will not happen overnight. So in my opinion, it will take 1 to 2 quarters to get the confidence back.
And Shan, there are reports that a certain amount of vaccines will be made available by the end of the year, perhaps even during Christmas. Which sectors do you think will benefit from this?
I think, yes, medicines are coming. Astra is selling at $4 per dose. Pfizer is selling $20 per dose. There are Russian medicines, Oxford, China. So all the medicines are coming. And as you rightly said, they might come in the market before Christmas. So in my opinion, manufacturing sector will get a major boost because in case of China and Vietnam, their manufacturing sector got a major boost after they got a positive response and with vaccination going on. So I think manufacturing sector will get a major boost after the arrival of these vaccines.
Shan, do we know the correlation between the percentage of the vaccinated population and economic growth? For example, if we look in Malaysia, what has been announced previously is that we want to prioritize our frontliners and those who are most at risk. So do we know, for example, if perhaps 40% of the population is vaccinated, how will that translate into economic growth?
Yes, there is a slight positive correlation with vaccination and with labor force. So I think it will have a positive impact on the overall economy and the macro level. And once the labor force is fully vaccinated, then they will work to the full potential. And once the labor productivity is high, then we can expect economic growth. If you look at China, right now there is no mask, there is no lockdown because the labor force is vaccinated and the economic momentum has been generated. And China is the only country which is achieving a growth rate of 4.9%. So in case of Malaysia, yes, there will be vaccination for frontliners, for elderly people. That is very important, and then the others will follow.
What kind of challenges do you foresee when it comes to distributing, getting people vaccinated? Will that be something to consider in 2021?
Yes, obviously, governments and countries are competing, and they have already allocated $50 to $100 billion to get these vaccines for the population. So I think the major challenge is, the number one issue is supply disruption. they might happen because the demand is so high and the suppliers may not be able to meet that demand. The second is all countries are competing, not just one country. So every country wants to have the first mover advantage to get those vaccines. The third is affordability. Yes, Malaysia can afford, Singapore can afford, UK, France, Germany can afford. But what about those poor African countries? For them, $4 or $20, those amounts are too high. So I think affordability for poor countries would be another challenge. Plus, there is a sense of urgency among all governments and among all countries because people want to travel, people want to do business. So I think the major trend that is coming in the next 2 to 3 months, QR code will be on everybody's mobile. So when you are traveling or when you are going for your hotel accommodation, I think QR code will be very, very necessary. And secondly, you cannot travel if you are not vaccinated. So I think these two trends will be coming very strongly. You need to have QR code in your mobile and you need to be vaccinated before you travel to any part of the world.
Shan, who do you think should be prioritized in terms of vaccination from an economic perspective? You mentioned the labour force, and we know that this varies from country to country. In Malaysia, we want to prioritize frontliners. In some other countries in the UK, they want to prioritize the population that are most at risk, the vulnerable. So from an economic perspective, in terms of growth, who do you think should be prioritized?
I think, in my opinion, the frontliners, people who are taking care of those people who are infected. Frontliners, elderly, and then people who are who have the strong immunity, they should be getting vaccinated. So once all these people they get vaccinated, obviously we can expect economic growth and momentum to be generated. And once economic growth is generated, we can expect the GDP on the upsurge, and that will bring foreign investment, and that will build a confidence level for the locals to have a more positive outlook of the economy.
Will the healthcare sector, or at least big pharma, be very attractive to investors moving forward? Because you mentioned, the cost of vaccines and whatnot. This is a big year for healthcare. What do you think?
Yes, healthcare sector is a big beneficiary of this COVID-19. They are getting a lot of limelight. And the next 2 to 3 years, all these healthcare companies, whether it's Astro, Moderna, Pfizer, all these companies will make a lot of profits, and everybody wants to get medicine, which is very practical. So I think these companies will have a major say in the global economic space.
So looking ahead, will this possibly attract more investors in this field moving forward? What kind of growth can we expect here?
Yes, I think many companies are moving to make gloves and masks. Apart from China, many countries are moving into this, and many companies are moving into this. There are some sectors in the economy which were doing real estate, and from real estate they're moving into healthcare sector. So that's a major change. So I think more and more investors, they want to jump into this bandwagon and they want to profit from this rise.
You know what's interesting to see this year is the digitalization, innovations and tech advancements that we have witnessed in the past year. Working from home, the digital economy, e-commerce. When we expect the vaccine, that, perhaps, do you think we'll expect this to end, the rapid growth that we have seen in the past few months? Or do you think that this has become a sort of learning curve moving forward? We cannot afford to look past technological advancement, or what do you think?
Naila, very interesting question. Because technology and work from home will be a major norm going forward. If you pick up the latest issue of Harvard Business Review, they have mentioned specifically that working from home has become the new norm, and it will be a major impact for many labor force across the world. As far as technology is concerned, I was speaking at SIDC on 18 November. I said, whoever takes lead in AI and technology will rule the global economy. So if you just pick up AI total market was $17 billion in 2017. By 2025, AI market will be $190 billion. So if you calculate the CAGR, that is roughly 27%. So technology is here to stay. If you adopt technology, you will stay relevant. If you don't, you will go back. So I think technology and digitalization of assets would go at a much faster pace.
Sean, for countries who have access to these vaccines, what will it do to their currency or trade output? What will they have? Will we see an advantage versus other countries?
Absolutely, Naila, because the momentum will pick up once these countries who will get their population vaccinated. There will be a positive economic outlook. We have seen recently the agreement of RCEP, which has created huge momentum. The latest issue of Economist magazine talks about it, that it will generate $200 billion annually. So I think trade is the name of the game. Economies want to move forward. There's a sense of urgency among various governments across the world to get these vaccines and to get the economic momentum generated at a much faster pace so that people who have been laid off or people who have gone into poverty, they should get out of poverty at a much faster pace going forward.
Right, thanks so much, Sean, for sharing your thoughts with me on the advancement in vaccines that we've seen in recent weeks. Terima kasih kepada Sean Said, Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Juai RQI, membincangkan dari sudut ekonomi apa impak penghasilan vaksin, perkembangan yang positif sejak kebelakangan ini. Dan banyak lagi yang saya nak bawakan dalam Niaga Awani, tapi kita akan berhenti seketika, kembali selepas ini.